Happy Sunday morning. Earlier this week, I had a board meeting for Deborah Strickland Ministries, and we sat around the table and just began to talk about some of the things that the Lord has done. I read to them out of Joshua chapter 4 before we began the actual business part of the meeting. We kind of did a little devotional, and I read this from chapter 4. So Joshua called together the 12 men he had chosen, one from each of the tribes of Israel. He told them, "Go into the middle of the Jordan in front of the ark of the Lord your God. Each of you must pick up one stone and carry it on your shoulder, 12 stones in all, one for each of the 12 tribes of Israel." It was there at Gilgal that Joshua piled up the 12 stones taken from the Jordan River. And then Joshua said to the Israelites, "In the future, your children will ask, 'What do these stones mean?' And then you can tell them, 'This is where the Israelites crossed the Jordan on dry ground, for the Lord your God dried up the river right before your eyes, and he kept it dry until you were all across, just as he did at the Red Sea when he dried it up until all had crossed over.' He did this so that all the nations of the earth might know that the Lord's hand is powerful, and so you might fear the Lord your God forever." And I told them that I would go first, and I had a pile of stones there on the table for us to take and to talk about. And I began to recount some of the answers to prayers for the ministry that we had been praying, that God so faithfully had come through. And I began to ask the board members, you share from your life some of the things that the Lord has done. He's been faithful when we've asked him for answers, things that we needed him to move on our behalf, and that he's done that. And they began to recount stories of what God has done for them. And it was like piling up these stones in the middle of the table and just recounting the Lord's goodness. It built our faith because it reminded us that when we don't know what to do, we don't have the ability to change a situation, we can simply lay it before the Lord. Just keep serving, keep doing what we're doing, keep praying, and let God do it. Let him work out the situation. And in every case, as we began to talk, he certainly did. And so it built our faith as a board for the ministry, but also in our personal lives. And then I reminded them that last verse in verse 24, he did this so all the nations of the earth might know that the Lord's hand is powerful, and so that you might fear the Lord your God forever. It's a good reminder to us that in the end, it's all about him. It's not about us, but every situation that we go through is an opportunity for God to shine. It's an opportunity for us to use it as a tool to direct others' attention toward him. So I would encourage you, just like Joshua was telling the people, and the Lord had him tell them to pile up those stones so that they could tell in the future, they could tell their children what God had done. We need to tell others what God has done for us and recount his faithfulness to the people around us. Make his name great. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. I'm headed to the house of God, and I pray you are too, and I'll see you next week.